Martinez, Director and Professor of the Chicano Studies. Dr. Martinez?
Yeah, thank you so much. So welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Nidia Martinez. I'm the current Director of Chicano Studies and Latino Studies program at Eastern Washington. And I'm also faculty over in history. I'm in charge of Latin American history. So our program is both an academic program, but Chicano Studies, but also we also do a lot of student services in our program. So one of the things that everyone is more than welcome to come. You do not have to be of Latino descent or Hispanic descent to come into our space or program. In our area, we have a student lounge where students commonly come and use it either to study. We have an area for you to study if you want to study group. We also, if you let us know even after hours, we leave the space open in case you need it. You also have access to computers, and it's also a great space just to build community, right? In our space, we also have a kitchen. So if you want to come by and reheat your food or share food with other people and stuff, that is always a wonderful space to do that. In our program, we also, like I said, we are an academic program. So we offer a minor in Chicano Studies. And we are also in the process of establishing a certificate for healthcare and social services, and hopefully that will be open in the fall. So that's our goal. In our program, we also have a study abroad program that is run. Unfortunately, because of the current situation right now, the study abroad programs are in standby. But our study abroad program goes to Mexico, to Oaxaca, Mexico during the summertime. So we'll do that. We also have a series of internships. That's one of the things that we are working on right now, to establish internships between the Latino community in, not just in Spokane area, but in the region, in the area and yourselves. So that's another aspect. And another program that we have is our peer mentoring program. So especially for all of you who are first year students, and if you're first generation and you're just not quite comfortable with the setting, right? With coming into a new academic space, so it can always be a bit daunting or confusing. So we make sure that we pair you with students who are higher in their juniors or seniors, and they can guide you to answering all your questions or help you in any things that you might need. So again, our program serves the students, Latinx students, Afro-Latinos, Central Americans, non-Latinos, right? Everyone is welcome. So I will let someone else introduce their program, and I hope if you have any question, let us know.
Thank you so much, Dr. Martinez. It's very exciting to know all the services and support for students, from, mentor type of relationships to a microwave and somewhere to store their food. That's awesome. So we appreciate
Yes.
that. Next, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Rohrer.
Yeah, my name is a bit of a mouthful, so I ignore the middle R. So just Dr. Rohrer or Judy or whatever works for me. So I'm the, I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Director of Women and Gender Studies, and actually we are updating our name. So come this fall, we are going to be Gender, Women's, and Sexuality Studies. So we're very excited about that. And that's actually reflected in our programming in terms of our curriculum. We started a sexuality and queer studies minor just this year and have gotten some really good responses on that. So, so that's super exciting. So we are physically located in Monroe Hall on the second floor, and we share that second floor with Dr. Martinez in Chicanx, and we also share it with Africana Studies. And so we feel like we have this really good community on the second floor there in Monroe. And we also have a microwave, and we have a really large lounge area with a library. We often hold events in that space, but it's also open to students to come and hang out and eat lunch or study or have meetings with student organizations. So we try to rotate the art in that space and have a lot of student art in there as well. So So that's one thing to definitely know. So in terms of our curriculum in Women and Gender Studies, soon to be Gender, Women's, and Sexuality Studies, we've got a major that has been in place for decades now, and a minor, and also this new minor that we just developed in Sexuality and Queer Studies. So those are sort of the programs that we have, and through those curricular programs, what we're doing is we're studying gender and sexuality in the way that they intersect with other categories, such as race, indigeneity, right, class, nationality, religion, age, ability, because all of those things are part and parcel of what we need to think about when we're thinking about different kinds of relations of power. So one thing that's obvious, I think, right now in the pandemic that we are in is the inequalities that exist in society, right? And that's being really exposed through this pandemic. And it is one of the things that all of the diversity programs are interested in thinking about, so that we can change the world to be a more equitable and humane place. So that's part of all of the diversity programs, both African American, Africana Studies, Chicanx, American Indian Studies, and Gender and Women's Studies. I actually wrote an op-ed about that. I'm gonna paste into the chat box. I'm gonna paste our link to the Women in Gender Studies website. So there's a good, really short video of a couple of students on there talking about their experiences with our program. And then there's also a link to the op-ed that just ran in the Spokesman for those of you who are interested in that. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. That's great information. And if I could say anything, it seems like Eastern and many of the programs are, really have a diversity and social justice sort of focus within the program. So it's exciting that students have that to look forward to and, contribute to. Next up, I'll pass it over to Professor Boyer, representing the Communications Department.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this. It's always great to be able to meet with new students or students that are still kind of trying to figure out their majors. My name's Jessica Boyer, and I'm a lecturer over in the Department of Communication Studies. I'm also a proud EWU alum, got my coffee cup right here. I teach the public relations course for the department. So really happy to talk with you today a little bit more about the Department of Communication Studies. We offer 2 degree tracks in our department. One is in general communication studies, and the other is in public relations. We also offer a master's program, and we also offer a leadership certificate. And these are from students. We get students from all different majors that are interested in wanting to do some courses to, really get, a deep dive into leadership, what it means to be a good leader, both, in the classroom and in society. And we have a lot of students that are interested in pursuing that track. So Professor teaches courses in that area. And then we also have the Public Relations Student Society of America, which is a professional student organization open to students of all majors to help students really learn how to, learn those important professional skills, help them to get out and get jobs and get internships, learn how to promote themselves and advocate for the causes that they care about. As some of my other fellow colleagues have mentioned, I definitely think that our department offers some great opportunities, and we do have also an emphasis on, talking about social justice and talking about how communications has really, created a lot of those larger cultural social changes that we see in society. So, for example, in my public relations classes, we talk a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and how communication played such a central role in promoting civil rights and having that become a reality. We talk about it in terms of, women's and gender issues. We talk about that in terms of a number of different areas and really the impact that communication has on society. We also offer a lot of different types of classes. So we have classes ranging from interpersonal communications. So that's really the study of communications and relationships. We also offer classes in intercultural communications. That's actually a big focus for our department. And You know, as you may have heard, a lot of employers are looking to see, you know, are you the type of person that knows how to communicate with people from different cultures? And as a lot of organizations are really working and expanding globally, this is becoming even more important. So one of our faculty members, Igor Klukanov, he's actually the editor for the Intercultural Communication Journal. And we have a lot of research that happens in that area as well. We also offer courses in event planning. So we have a lot of students that are interested in wanting to go out and maybe start their own business. So they take classes in that area. And then of course, when it comes to public relations, we offer a lot of different courses, whether that's helping students who might be interested in working for a nonprofit organization and promoting causes that are important to them, or helping students learn how to work and maybe the healthcare area, which is really big here, especially in Spokane. And then my background is in TV and film publicity. So you might not think about it being here in Spokane, but we're one of the few universities to offer a course in entertainment PR. And one of the things I really love to do is help students find internships and the job opportunities. So I've had students to Los Angeles and New York and do different internships during the summer, and I love helping students with that. So a lot of different opportunities. Would be happy to talk with any of you. If you want to shoot me a message in the chat box, send email at jboyer4@ewu.edu. Happy to help answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much. Great overview and great information. And I might have to take you up on getting some tips or, you know, from that class, because, you know, this new webinar thing is making me new moderator for many things. So anyway, just trying to keep it going here. We'll welcome up, thank you so much. We'll welcome up next Dr. Gerhart, who is representing the psychology department.
Hi, thank you. Yes, and I apologize, I'm connected from my phone, and I don't know, I feel like my visual is very jiggly, and every time I look over and see myself, so, but I think it's working. Yeah, I'm Dr. Aron Gerhart, and I'm visiting assistant professor for Eastern's Department of Psychology, and I'm relatively new. I've been with Eastern about a year. I'm finishing up my first year now, and I'm actually over at the Bellevue College, so we have an extension or satellite campus over at Bellevue College, and so that's where I'm at physically. And whenever I talk about psychology and try to get students interested in it, or try to sort of engage them in a discussion about it, I think that people who get into psychology generally do get into it because they're interested in understanding people or helping people. And those are kind of the big routes that people, the students generally take with the study of psychology, the study of mind, the study of behavior, and more increasingly, the study of the brain. And we offer 3 majors here, just psych, and then there's a health psych. And I have some questions I can go over for some of the specifics. That we offer 3 minors. And students, when they get their degree in psychology, will generally, they can find careers, sort of like terminal degrees, or what they want to do when they just sort of have, I want to get a degree in psychology, and sort of stop there. There's a lot of different paths that students can take. And I always tell students that the great degree is that it is really applicable to so many professions. In a lot of cases, it may not be tailor-made for one, but it is widely applicable to so many that I sometimes we do draw students to, are just kind of unsure, but they know they're interested in studying human behavior. So we get a lot of those students too, and they will find work in public policy, in education, just as scientists, conducting research, transitioning into social work, or going on into counseling and clinical work, which is where most people think that's all we do, is sort of counsel people and do therapy. And it's actually not. That's one thing that we do that's on display for everyone, right? We do therapy, but we do a lot of behind scenes stuff too. We do a lot of research, and definitely a lot of students who are interested in going on to the next level. So who are interested in going on into graduate school, those kinds of students we definitely are here for. And we're very approachable, accessible. That's one good thing about a program like at Eastern. It allows you to get established and sort of get involved with research pretty early on. And that's pretty important that students find out after getting involved with their education, that research involvement, regardless of your focus, even if you're going to take the more sort of a clinical counseling route, that you can't, there's not a such thing as not enough research involvement. And you get to have that direct research involvement with our faculty here at Eastern, which is really nice. Because at some bigger institutions, you don't always have that sort of accessibility to your professors. So, and we're over in Martin Hall in Cheney, and I've been, but only a couple times. So I can't tell you if there's a microwave, although I assume there probably is.
Thank you so much. And, I'm not sure if there's a microwave there either, but I can tell you by the sounds of it, there are plenty for all the students that need that support and service. I'll tell you that right now. Great. So thank you all for your introductions. We're going to go ahead and get started with questions, and I would love for students to, start asking them through the Q&A feature if you're able to. We do have some sort of preset questions in case students are still trying to, type that question out or, sort of think of questions to ask. I'll go ahead and just start with one of them. And if panelists, if I could have you try and keep your answers to like 1 to 3 minutes, that would be great for the sake of time, which we actually have quite a bit of time. So if you go over, I'm not gonna get you in trouble for that. But we'll go ahead and get started with the first question. I guess what makes our programs and your specific program stand out at Eastern, compared to other colleges, and why should students choose that program? And I'll go ahead and let Dr. Martinez, if you want to go ahead and take that first.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. So one of the things that our program, what I would like to share is that Eastern Washington is in the process of becoming a Hispanic serving institution, meaning that we will have, we are right now about 15% of our student population is of Latino, Hispanic, Chicano descent, however, people self-identified. And in the process, we're in the process of serving about 25% in the next few years, right? So one of the things is that our program is not, like I mentioned, it's not only an academic program, but we also are a program, it's a community center. And that's something that is really, really important for our communities, right? To connect, you come here and you find family, you find friends, you build this really cool community with staff, with faculty, with other students. And like Dr. Rohrer was mentioning, right, we are in the second floor of Monroe. I mean, you will see people coming from the Africana Studies, coming over to the Chicano Lounge, and then going back and forth. And so you see a beautiful representation of diversity and interactions. And that's something that is really unique about Eastern. So I came to Washington State 5 years ago. And when I first came, I think that was something that really attracted me about Eastern, and why I'm so excited of being part of this community is because there's awesome potential, and you see the growth of diversity and interaction, and it is wonderful. I mean, you go across and it's very, very friendly. It's not such a tiny school, but it's not an enormous school where you're gonna be lost, right? It's just the perfect size where you can connect with people, you get to know everybody. I mean, in this, the size of Eastern allows you to go, and you're able to go and talk to the president if you need to, if you have a concern or you wanna share something, right? You can talk to any of your faculty. You can have one-on-one with faculty, and that makes a huge difference. I get to know my students one-on-one, and that's wonderful. Also, the other aspect about our program is, like I mentioned, we served, is a bilingual program, so we serve Spanish speakers communities, and also we get to know their families. So we also serve the families, and so to me, that's a beautiful community. It's very, very broad. So I will share that part. And I could keep on going, so I'm going to let other people take that excitement. So,
Definitely. Dr. Rohrer, would you like to go next, or any of them?
Sure, yeah. Your excitement is contagious. Dr. Martinez. So something you just said too is so interesting. So sometimes people think that women and gender studies, women, gender and sexuality studies, you know, the broad collection of our fields are, it's only for women or only for queer identified folks. And I got a story about that. Just as soon as we launched our new sexuality and queer studies minor, this non-traditional student came into my office with her daughter. So she was going back to school after having stepped out for a number of years, and then her daughter was just starting school, so they're going to be going to school together, which was like super interesting. So we were talking about how she wanted to major in women and gender studies. So we were talking about the curriculum. And then I was saying, you know, we have this new minor in queer and sexuality studies. And she was like, oh, that's really interesting. And I was like, oh yeah, do you think you'd be interested in that? And she was like, yeah. And of course, like my gaydar didn't go off. I didn't like sense that this person was queer identified in any way, but I was like, oh, this person is interested. And so she says, yeah, my son just came out. My son is 17 and in high school, and he just came out as gay. And I'm like super excited for him, but I don't know how to support him. And so I think I should be part of this minor so that that I can learn more about the community. I can be more of a supportive mom. And I just thought that was like so fantastic that was one of the first people who decided to minor with us. So what makes the program different is like all of the things that Dr. Martinez just said about the community aspect, right? So for all of the diversity programs, we're really about not just what we do in the classroom, but also about making sure to create, you know, a really large community. And I think that's part of why I just told you that story, because, you know, it's, we want allies, we want parents, we want friends, we want, you know, all of the folks who want to be part of more inclusive politics in the world, right? And so pretty much that's everyone. I think that's true for all of the diversity programs. For us in particular, we're looking at the world through the lens of sexuality studies and feminist studies and women's studies and gender studies, right? And so we're using those analytics to help us unpack the way that we can participate in building a more socially just society. And so that really is the mission of women, gender, and sexuality studies, or gender, women's, and sexuality studies, which is what we're becoming. One of the other things I just want to say about what makes us different, I think, that's part of what I've been saying, but that our curriculum is very interdisciplinary. And when I say that, it means that it's not just our faculty who are teaching our classes, but we cross-list our classes with other faculty and other departments. And so somebody had typed in a question about social work. And so social work is one of the disciplines that we often cross-list classes with. And we cross-list with economics, and we cross-list with English, right? We cross-list with psychology. So that, I think, really means that the curriculum is, you're getting information from all of these different experts in all of these different fields who are also part of gender, sexuality, and women's studies scholarship, right? That it doesn't just exist in a silo, that it's actually broad and cross-curricular, or interdisciplinary is the word that we use for that. So, that makes it really exciting, whether you're majoring or minoring, that you're able to sort of access all of these different faculty through the programming. Okay, now I'll be quiet too, because I can go on and on like Nydia.
Oh, I think it's great, and it's very exciting to get different perspectives and just, you know, explain to students how they can really cross over. I know in admissions, I have students ask all the time, you know, hey, I want to do psychology, but I'm also thinking criminal justice, you know, and I'm like, if you really look at it, they go hand in hand so much, and, you know, you cross paths with those worlds so much. And actually on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Gerhart. And he answered a question that I want to go back to live. A student from Kaylee asked a question that she's planning on majoring in criminal justice, but wants to minor in psychology and possibly communications too. What are the minors for both of those, and that might support a criminal justice major? And I know that you kind of responded. So Dr. Gerhart, can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm familiar with this career path because although I'm new to Eastern, I'm not that new to doing this. So I've definitely mentored some students who are majoring in criminal justice, minoring in psychology. Right? Those career paths do often cross. And with that, so with the minor would be in psychology, you could take a forensic sort of approach to it with the courses that you selected to take for the minor. And I'm looking at the other two minors, they just don't make sense given the options applied developmental versus industrial organizational. So as far as the psych minors, and then for the communications minors, which I'm not as familiar with, I'm seeing that it looks like communication studies, but I won't speak too much about that. But I do know that definitely the minor in psychology complements the major in criminal justice very well, and there are a lot of careers in that area, and there's a lot of research in that area, in that space too.
I was trying to find the mouse. Sometimes
No, I understand.
I lose it, believe it or not, and it comes back, the little clicker thing. I'm going to pass it over to Professor Boyer, Lecturer Boyer. Not sure how to address you, but either one works for me. I know that you kind of added on a little bit to that response as well. You want to elaborate on that at all? And it'd be great.
Sure. I was just sharing on the Q&A that we do offer a minor in communication studies, and I think that can help students no matter what you're planning to major in, learning how to better communicate in the workplace, learning how to manage conflict, learning some of those leadership skills that will help you to be able to get ahead and help if you're working with other people. I think that, communication studies could be a good option to think about. I actually had a student who graduated last year who was interested in becoming a public information officer for the police department. So he wanted to become a police officer, but work more in a communications capacity. So he actually took a lot of our communications classes, and he was in all of my PR classes, and then also took a lot of criminal justice classes. He's now working as a police officer over in Wenatchee, and I was just talking to him the other day, and it was interesting to hear kind of his take on how the classes helped him. And so I think that's another thing that's great about Eastern. So many faculty work with each other, but there's so many different opportunities where we're either partnering with other faculty to do cross-listed courses, which I know Com Studies does a lot of with the Women Gender Studies program. We're doing that a lot with the entrepreneurship program right now. So there's really a lot of different opportunities depending on what you're interested in.
Great, that's exciting. Thank you so much. And this might be a great, another question for folks. I'm gonna let Dr. Martinez kind of start it off, and then if we can go through. Students wanna know if there's any specific jobs or internships through your departments. And I always like to have folks keep in mind like work study positions, if you have any work study positions, because that right there is real life experience that they can put on their resume as well. So can you talk a little bit about that within your departments?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the case of Chicano Studies, we have a peer mentoring program, and the peer mentoring program, that's where we hire a lot of our students. In this case, it is done through work study, and the peer mentoring program, the positions that we have is mostly for advanced students, meaning that students who are in the junior, senior years, and they're mentoring incoming students. So that is just within the program. We also have positions to helping us in the office, helping us with event planning and all those kind of things. So we do have some positions through that, and it is through work study. However, we are also, as it was mentioned by Jessica, one of the things that we are characterized by is the collaboration that we do across, not just with other departments, but also with the community. So we, if anyone is interested in pursuing an internship or an internship with the community, we happily look for those opportunities and trying to set them up. We do a lot of networking within the communities. So that's something that we definitely help you with those processes.
That's wonderful. And I'll have Dr. Rohrer speak next. And I will say that in addition, students, this is awesome. In addition to like career services, our faculty are able to connect you to different opportunities and, resources as well. So Dr. Rohrer, do you have any insight on that or feedback?
Yeah, so we also hire work study every year, and it's great to have those students in our office helping us with planning events and helping us with our social media and helping us develop different kinds of publicity and teaching me how to use technology. So that's one piece. We also, a lot of our students in our majors do internships, and so we are connected with a number of different community nonprofits and community organizations, and are always like happy to help students find organizations and people that we haven't connected with yet, and that's really important. One of our recent graduates from last year was double major in social work and women and gender studies, and went on to found her own nonprofit that helps provide a bridge between folks who are doing domestic violence work and folks in the Latinx community, because she found there was a gap in terms of getting the information to the Latinx community around advocacy and support for folks who have suffered from different kinds of sexual violence. And so that was a fantastic, she did an internship with one of the agencies in Spokane that does work with regard to sexual violence. And then she used that internship then to recognize that there was this gap and to start her own nonprofit. And so that's just a really good example of an internship that then leads to somebody figuring out how they can be more of service to their community. The other thing to say is that just in terms of thinking about future careers, our majors and minors often go into careers all across. So there's nonprofit work, right? There's work in academia, there's the private sector, there's government and public policy positions that women and gender studies get into. And it's often because, right, in all of those spaces, people are looking for either graduate students or employees who have experience thinking critically and working with diverse communities, right? And that's one of the things that all of the diversity programs provide. So whether you major or you minor in one of our programs, that is definitely a career building move in terms of helping you to be able to articulate those experiences to the larger world.
Wonderful, thank you. And I'll probably have Professor Boyer go next. I will mention, keep in mind those internships. Again, I can't stress this enough. They're so vital to getting, good opportunities and better jobs after you graduate. I can, use that and use my own experience in that. I'm actually a criminal justice major, but through my undergrad, I did not get any related experience to the criminal justice world. So it was a little hard for me to get a job in that world after I graduated. Which I think was a blessing in disguise because I love education and I think I found my niche. But, I definitely highly encourage students to get internships, get exposed, get, professional references, etc. So, Professor Boyer.
Sure. So on this note, I really think that this is something that really makes the communications department I think we really stand out in this area. So there's a lot of departments that are great about helping students find internships. This is something that's very key to a lot of our courses though, as well as the Public Relations Student Society of America professional group that I mentioned. One thing that we do is we have a lot of guest speakers that come into our classes that are industry professionals, either working right here in Cheney and Spokane, or that are, beaming in via Skype or Zoom to try to talk to our students, whether it's alumni that are going out that are working in all different areas, or other professionals. We really try to do that in a lot of our classes. And then we do every spring, PRSSA does we call it a pro tour. And it's where we take our students and we go into Spokane, we take a shuttle, and we're working on a virtual one right now since we have, we need to stay at home. But we go in and we actually meet with all different communications and public relations employers. So last year we went into the Ronald McDonald House, and it was a really, really meaningful moment, I think, for me as an instructor, to be able to show my students that what they're doing and what they're learning can make a profound difference in someone's life. One of the things that really encouraged me to want to go into teaching was, you know, when I was in the department as a student and I realized I wanted to go into communication studies, I had some people that said to me, oh, you're planning on majoring in communications? Isn't that just a fluff major? What are you going to do with that? Or, oh, you're planning to go into public relations? You know, are you just getting paid to you know, spin or lie to people? And I'm really a lot of my teaching focuses on, and I'm a real big believer in how communications can be used to promote good. So when I bring these students into places like the Ronald McDonald House, or we went into the Union Gospel Mission, helping the homeless, the students get the chance to really hear how the communications that is being put out is helping people. It's helping people to find resources. It's helping families let them know about this incredible program where a child is sick, they can, you know, come and stay at the Ronald McDonald House for free. It's a career path that there's a lot of opportunities out there, and you can feel really good about what you're doing. And, you know, I think also on that note, just in terms of other internships or opportunities, we also offer graduate service appointments for our graduate students. We have 6 GSA positions right now, and all of our GSAs are currently teaching classes for the department. So if you're someone who is really interested in teaching like I was, we also offer those real world opportunities to come in, teach some classes to some of our more entry-level students and get that teaching experience that can help you to land a job. So I think that that's definitely something that we spend a lot of time focusing on, is helping our students to get those professional opportunities and the networking opportunities to help them find jobs and internships.
Thank you so much. And then I'll pass it over to Dr. Gerhart.
Yeah, I'm definitely, we definitely have internships through our department. We definitely, I'm just unfamiliar about some of the different specifics about them. I have a different talking point I do want to make though, but I can just tell you that there are more of the same pretty much applies from what has been said for our department. That it's vital for time students will they'll go into their first job and they'll have to list their experience, and like, I don't have any. So that's a good way to get that. And it's a good way to figure out, I've always thought for students to figure out if this is really what you want to do. Because sometimes students they may think they want to go into counseling or something like that. And, but they're not sure, and they've never really had any experience sort of like that. So this internships allow them to get that, to figure out if that's something to sort of solidify their decision and figure out if that's what they want to do. But I know those opportunities, they're plentiful, and it's all a very organized, streamlined process that unfortunately I can't tell you much about right now. The other talking point I wanted to make though is related to that is sort of the directed study aspect that we offer in psychology. And I think that's really a unique opportunity to sort of get one-on-one with a faculty member and take something that you're interested in researching and actually getting some firsthand research experience, which will be very valuable later on. And I think sometimes students underestimate I think they're somewhat aware coming in that they need some internship sort of experience, but I think they underestimate the research experience. And that's a great opportunity to always find everywhere else, to have that, to sort of get sort of an item for your resume or your vita, what will become your vita. So those opportunities are very much available and around. I have my own that I do with students. In fact, I just took up a student who reached out to me last week, and she said that she wanted to study some children at a local school district, and I went to work getting her approved to do that research to get that done. So that's something that's sort of related to this sort of idea of getting experience and applying some of what you're doing. That's very valuable that we offer here too.
Definitely. I appreciate that insight on that. And, you know, it's definitely something that I try and highlight to my students again, you know, do those internships so you can get exposed to see if you like it, right? I have a lot of different students that are like, man, I want to be in the healthcare world. I want to be a doctor. because they make a lot of money, right? Which they do, and it's awesome. But if you don't like blood and you don't like, you know, diseases or being around that, it might not work out, right? So getting exposed, literally exposed to that world, would be great to get you that experience and all that good stuff. So, an exposure to see if you like it. I'm gonna actually go back here real quick to a question that Alexander asked in regards to your departments. And it, you know, it could be kind of general. What is a typical day like, and maybe like workload, and what, you know, what classes are like maybe at college level, just to kind of I know his specific question was, what is a typical class like in your department? But you can give any insight on like what it is to be a college student, you know, in 2020 at Eastern, and what those, you know, the coursework looks like. We'll have Dr. Martinez start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the typical day, especially for the first year students, is one of the things that can be overwhelming, I'm going to start with that, is that you're going to be very independent. So you come into our classes and we expect, I mean, we are working with you as adults, and we expect for you to be independent. You come in and we give you, right, we give you the lectures or expectations that you're going to be able to be independent on your own workload, right? However, a lot of times we also recognize that that's a transition going from high school sometimes, especially if you're a traditional student going from high school to college, that can be a bit daunting. So one of the things is that we are there to help you. So in the regular classes, our average size of classes can be anything between 8 students all the way to some larger classes are about 150 students, maybe a little more than that. But for the most part, you have one-on-one interaction with your faculty. Our classes are very small size. You do have a lot more reading and writing, perhaps, that you might be used to in high school. So one of the pieces. But the other thing is that you would have a lot of access to services on campus. You have access to a writing center, peer mentoring programs. You have access to different mentoring programs, not just peer mentoring, but just academic mentoring programs, etc. So you can do that. And the other part is that there is a lot of student organizations, the student clubs, they're going to help you and connect with. So in an average day, you want to be very busy. That's one of the things I think the challenge for first year students is to time management, because there's so much to do, right? I mean, there are shows, there are event plannings, there are classes, there are student organizations are organizing all kinds of interactions. So if anything, I mean, it's going to be busy. You're going to be busy, but I hope that it's going to be an exciting busy, right? It's not just busy for the sake of being busy. But I think some of the other folks, we can share other stuff on the side.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And real quick, while I have you, actually, Dr. Martinez, Logan, a student tuning in, had a question regarding the Chicano X degree. And he kind of asked, what can you do with a Chicano Studies degree? Can you answer that real quick so folks can hear?
Yes, so in the case of the Chicano Studies program, we are a minor, so we do not have a major like Women's Studies does. So we only a minor. So in this case, a minor, and we are in the process of having a certificate for healthcare and social services. So in this case, as a minor, one of the things that we do is we help you to supplement, right? Especially if you're interested in, let's say, in communication, psychology, in other fields, is working with the Latinx population. That's if right now, as you know, the Latino community, Latinx communities, we are one of the largest and the fastest growing population in the United States. And the more bicultural, bilingual, more efficient you are to communicate, as Jessica was mentioning before with intercultural communication, the more marketable you are in the job market, right? In any field. And just working in Washington State, one of the things is that you're going to be working with our communities. So if you're able to work and support our communities in a cultural relevant way, you are much more marketable. It doesn't matter what field you are. If you're in science, you're in education, you're in mathematics, you're going to be working with our communities. So therefore, we are a very important component to the job market.
Thank you so much for giving that clarification and overview. I always tell students, you know, try and predict, again, that population you're working with, or, that type of position you're working in, and the clients or people that you're going to be serving, and become familiar so you can, better serve them, better connect, and all that good stuff. So I know we're kind of getting close to 3 o'clock mark here. And I kind of want to end it. I think we might have another question here from the student. Well, I guess on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Rohrer real quick. I have a question. What can you do with the women and gender study major? If you want to take that real quick, and then we'll probably wrap it up with the last question here. So.
Sure. Yeah. And anybody who's, people have already said this, but definitely reach out to any of us. And I put in the chat, some people have asked about social work and criminal justice, right? There's all of the faculty at Eastern are super approachable. So just jump on the websites and look and see who's teaching stuff that looks interesting, researching, doing stuff that's interesting to you. And like, just shoot us an email, because as you all know, we're all connected 24/7 now. There's not a whole else lot to do. So you might get too much information, but we're not going to ignore you. So so definitely reach out to us. So women and gender studies. Now I can't even remember your question, Annie, but it's very similar to what Dr. Martinez just said, in terms of giving all of us, really, students, faculty, the skills and tools to be able to think critically about our world, right? And to be able to figure out ways that we can engage to be building a better world for future generations. And so that's our mission. And really the question about what's a typical day, I think Dr. Martinez did such a good job with that. Like, there's so much, right? College is so much. And part of that is like that you get the opportunity, and I'm always saying this to students, like, just try stuff out. Like, you may not like rock climbing, I don't know, but like, there's a wall, like, you could go try it, right, in our gym. And you may not know anything about the Latinx community, but you might want to try one of those classes, because could turn out like it's super interesting to you, right? That's what and the fact that we're in person, we're not an online institution, that you actually get to be on the ground with all of these different people, with all these different interests, with all of these different life experiences. It just makes for it's such an important time in life, and it's better to be over busy than not, right? So like, all of the enthusiasm that Dr. Martinez is conveying, I hope you all feel that without being overwhelmed, right? Like, and we're happy to help you like prioritize when you get to the point where you're like, then you come and talk to us, and we like help you make your little lists and your time management and all that stuff. Like, we're there to support you, but we're also there to encourage you just to like, just go, just do it, just lap it up. Yeah.
For sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you bringing me back to that question, because that was a question that some students had in regards to what a typical day is like. And Professor Boyer or Dr. Gerhart, do you have any insight on that question that you'd like to share? Or?
So my typical day, and I'm over at Bellevue College, so I don't know the typical day here is what the typical day is at Cheney, but at Bellevue, we do kind of serve a little bit of a different population. So I teach night classes by and large. So.
Yeah, something that I'll just jump in and share that I think really distinguishes being in college, high school, is that when you get into the college setting, you have so much freedom to be able to choose what you want to study. When I was a student here at Eastern, I took a number of classes. Actually, my favorite professor was Dr. Liz Kissling, who is now over in Women and Gender Studies. And she teaches the most incredible eye-opening courses. And it's, you know, I learned so much about, well, first of all, just a lot of stuff that, you know, wasn't studied in high school, but I was able to take my communications degree and take a lot of courses in women and gender studies, which I was really passionate about. I was able to take a lot of courses in political science because I was debating about whether to go to law school or whether to go into a master's program. I was able to really get passionate and explore all these different areas and then be able to use that when it came time to go out and look for a job. I think that, you know, you have this incredible moment in your life. I don't know that you'll ever have quite as much freedom as you do once you get into college. Just explore all those curiosities that you might have and really be able to learn from all these different faculty that are on campus, create some great mentoring relationships. You know, when I realized I'd worked in public relations for over 10 years in Los Angeles, and my ultimate career goal is always to teach. I think it says a lot about Eastern that when I was ready to come back and teach, I reached out to Professor Jeff Stafford, who's chair of our department at the time. And I said, how do you go about hiring instructors? And he was just right there for me, responded to my email right away, said, hey, let's hop on the phone. I'd love to chat with you. I reached out to Dr. Kissling. I reached out to Dr. Sue Stearns. All these other faculty that I'd worked with as a student, you know, years ago, they remembered me. They knew who I was. I wasn't just a number. I was a name. They helped me when I came back with mentoring and helping me, you know, prep my classes and all that. I really think when you come to Eastern, you join, I know a lot of people have talked about it, but you really join this larger Eagle family and this network that, you know, I know people have relationships with Eastern for life. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing about coming to Eastern.
For sure, that's wonderful. I appreciate that. And I might just keep it with you, Professor Boyer. We're going to go ahead and wrap up with the last question. Why would you encourage students to choose EWU to complete their degree?
Well, I think just for the reason that I mentioned about there really is this friendly community here, this accessible community, people who genuinely care. I think, you know, I felt that when I first came and did a campus tour. And as somebody else mentioned, Eastern is larger than I felt my high school was, you know, so if you kind of want to get lost, you can a little bit more, but the class sizes are smaller. You're able to develop that one-on-one relationship with your instructors if you want that. You're able to get together with other students and do different clubs and orgs. And even now with us being online, a lot of professors taught online before, offer some, you know, degree programs that are fully online. There's a lot that the clubs and orgs office is doing to try to keep up kind of those great social things that students also enjoy about college that are happening online. It's a great community with people who genuinely care.
Great, thank you. I'll pass it over to Dr. Gerhart next.
Yeah, I think I'm going to echo a lot of what's been stated, but I think that the opportunities at Eastern are maybe what you wouldn't find at other institutions that are maybe a little bigger, where the faculty are a little less approachable or accessible. Sometimes it's a matter of how busy they are, right? So, I mean, time is carved out of my workload, out of my schedule to assist students with advising, to assist students with research, to make them successful. And I don't know that that's the emphasis at other institutions, or if that's what you get at other places, you don't, but I know that you do get that here. And that's very valuable, especially for some students. It helps you, at least it's a great way to, especially as you're getting started. And I want to point out one thing that's been mentioned is trying things. Is really great advice when you're in college. I mean, there's not a better time to try, experiment, and also get passionate about it. I think it's a great time to get completely lost in this world, and get passionate, try things out, and discover who you are. So be excited, because I am.
Awesome. Now, I don't know who I should have go first, Dr. Martinez or Dr. Rohrer. If you guys want to rock, paper, scissors it out, just kidding. But we'll go ahead and have, I don't know, whoever, Dr. Martinez, you want to go ahead and go next?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think why Eastern? Well, I think in one word, because we are fantastic. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, we are really, really awesome. And I think one of the things I just wanted to add, we had not mentioned yet, is how Eastern is such a wonderful place for first-generation students. That's one of the populations that we serve, first-generation college students and their families. Because when we are serving the students, we are not just serving the individual, we are serving the entire family. And I think that's something I wanted to point out, you get to experiment and everything, but we also supporting you and your family. So, and I think that makes us amazing. So fantastic is the word I like. So I will let Judy go with the next.
Man, why did I make you go first? I always got to follow you, and you always say, so yes, absolutely. So the one thing that I would add to everything that everybody has said, which I totally agree with, is that we are in the best part of Washington. It doesn't rain all the time like it does in Western Washington, right? So I grew up in Hawaii. And I was super scared of the winters, but you do stuff, you get out, and it's not gray. And anyway, so many of you may be from, and you already know what I'm talking about, but I just like the geography, the rivers, the trees, the mountains, the hiking, the biking, all of that. And Spokane is growing, and there's a burgeoning arts community, and there's new restaurants and all kinds of places to hang out, lots of community spaces. So I think it's a good place to be in the world, Spokane.
Sure, lots of job opportunities. I always tell students, keep that in mind. Those internships are right there. Other, institutions, they may not have that accessibility to city for that. So definitely want to thank you all for joining us. Thanks to the attendees for sitting with us and listening to these great faculty's responses to all the great questions. If you want to get their contact info specifically, you can definitely reach out to admissions, and we can get you connected to these individuals via email and all that good stuff. Any last words for anybody? I know we're at 3:01, but we still have the participants on here. I know I always like to say go Eags, and if there's anything else you want to say, I'd say great saying it now.
We're looking forward to see you in the fall. I mean, just reach out. We are here for you. So looking forward to see you. Great.
Thank you so much. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I knew you wanted to say something, Dr. Martinez, before we headed out. So anyone else? Because I want to give you that moment. We still have a few participants that are still kind of hanging in here. So if not, we can kind of end it off.
Definitely reach out to us. Any questions you might have, and the other thing is, I've had students say, hey, could I come in and audit one of your classes and just sit in on a class to kind of get a feel for what communications is about, or public relations. We love it when students come in and do that as well. So, whether that's virtually in an online class, happy to send you a Zoom link if you'd like to kind of jump in and just see what that's like, or get a little more insight into the experience. So happy to chat with anybody who'd like to chat. And thanks again for the opportunity today. This was great.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, we'll say one last time, go Eags, and we'll go ahead and end the session here. So thank you all for joining us. Have a great day, great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.